Well, last week I mentioned that we'd be covering the auction results from the Skinner sale that just took place a few days ago. It was the collection of Jim Dixon. It was handled in two sessions. One of the sessions was a live sale that was held sort of like a traditional auction, and then this part two, which was a bigger sale, had more material in it, was a timed auction that was internet bidding only. And I didn't know why they did that did it that way, to be honest with you, because it was in total there was 450, 500 lots. And I thought they could have probably done it all as one auction, but they decided to break it up, and that's fine. In the end, the results were good no matter which way they did it, so it didn't make a heck of a big difference. And we're going to go through it because this was a fascinating thing, this auction. Early textiles are hard to come by, rare because they disintegrate, they fall apart. They get worn. Carpets were put on floors. They were walked through, and if they got too worn out, most of the time, old rugs, even though they made significant numbers of them in history, they were just thrown away. They were just disregarded. And occasionally people would save them because they thought they were interesting. They were maybe sentimental about it for some reason, and they survived. And Jim Dixon came along, and he was a collector for, I don't know, 50 years. He passed away in 2020. He wasn't a man of enormous financial means. I think he was fairly comfortable later in life, but early on he had no money at all. He was living in there's a story about him living in the attic of a house, basically in this attic apartment. I don't think it even had running water. I think he had a hot plate or something. And because the money that he made, he had such a big personal budget, percentage of his income, he wanted always to have money ready to buy something if the opportunity came along, and that was more important a driver to him on how to live than influence on how he lived than probably anything early on. And as time went on, he did okay for himself. He had I think he was in the landscaping business and so forth. And he lived in California. And people would, every time there was a rug symposium or anything in San Francisco in that area, which was a hub for rug activity for textile collectors, they would try to beat a path to his door to come and see him. He lived an hour and a half, 2 hours outside of San Francisco, and something like that. And in his house, he had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, upwards of 1,000 textiles, and Skinner's sold about half of them. There may be more coming, I don't know, but we're going to go through what sold and talk a little bit about why they were worth what they were worth. And you're going to notice there were carpets and fragments like this, real wrecks, messes. Pieces with holes in them, ripped out sections, parts of rugs, because he wasn't a collector obsessed with condition, as was very obvious. But what he was obsessed with was age and rarity, and rare rugs and rare textiles don't come along very often. Truly rare ones, and are not always going to be in great shape. That's all there is to it, because they were used. Textiles were sold, carpets and robes and things were meant to be worn and used. So you end up with some pretty tattered looking pieces, and that's just the way it is. So if you love the object, you love the object, and you're not too obsessed about condition. And that's a little bit of my philosophy on it. I'd rather have an enormous rarity that is really interesting, that's in not so great condition, as opposed to one that's much more recent, later, more common, that's perfect. And I really think what he did was terrific. So let's take a look, see how he did. All right, there were things like this. There were a lot of rank badges. There were a number of rank badges at the beginning of the sale. They were all interesting. They were all very, very nice. This one was done in a blind stitch. Beautiful colors, unbelievably well sewn. Just superb quality throughout. just absolutely superb quality, and the colors were still good and strong, and everybody loved this bag face. This saddle rank badge, rather, excuse me. And it was estimated modestly. It was estimated at just $800 to $1,000, which I thought was kind of low. And the bidders thought it was low, too. It ended up selling for $3,300. And this gap between estimate and actual selling price was... This gap just sort of continued in many, many lots throughout the sale. And then there was this very, very good Ningxia long rug. They dated it, it's interesting, they dated it as early 19th century China with a $700 to $1,000 estimate. And I looked at these photos pretty carefully. And the back of rugs often tell you more about the age of a rug than the front of the rug. And this weave, this loose floppy weave on the back, and the way this is done, to me looks more likely to be an 18th century rug, rather than like a Qinlong rug, rather than a 19th century rug, from the Jiaqing or Daoguan period. The quality, the fineness, the subtle colors, the way the devices are placed up the middle, and so forth. That's just my view of it. It ended up selling for $3,625, so maybe the bidders thought it was older too. And then there was this very nice roundel robe, late Qing Dynasty, beautifully done with red-headed herons on it. Just a really, really lovely example. If you pulled it in, you'll realize how good the colors still were on this. The reds were still nice and strong. They didn't fade because reds are very prone to fading. And the rondelles themselves were superbly done. Just a very, very nice robe all the way up. And ended up in the end, it just had a $2,000 to $4,000 estimate. It went for over $10,000. All right. Again, the audience didn't agree, and I think that price is about right, because we actually had a rather similar robe to this that had these rondelles on them not long ago, and it sold for about this price. So I thought I'm not all surprised by that price. And then on to this. This was one of my favorite textiles on the sale because I think it was older than they did. They had it dated as 18th or 19th century. And I think there's a pretty good chance this to me, I said it before the sale, it looks like a late Ming example to me, the way the fu lines are done, the way the borders are done, and so forth, all the way around. This doesn't look like 18th to 19th century. It looks more likely to be 16th to 17th century. It was estimated at $1,000 to $1,200, ended up selling for $3,000. But it had wonderful colors. It did have some staining and stuff. There were condition issues with it. But the expression of the fu lions, the way they were done, the Buddhist symbolism on it, just absolutely wonderful all the way around. And then the outside is framed within this border that's very reminiscent of some damask and other types of silks that you see. Really, really attractive. And then over to this big Shao character with the mortals inside of the Shao characters on a gold ground. This is a very attractive type. We've seen them before. These turn up from time to time. They were sort of a thing for a while among the silk makers, especially in the 19th century. And here you have the immortals within the character itself coming down. The piece was in nice condition, but visually very, very successful. Again, a very modest estimate of $700 to $900, ended up pretty much almost doubling the high estimate and going for $1,625. All right, and then you have this, the I don't know if you call this a throne cover or a couch. Sometimes they refer to them. This was estimated at $3,000 to $5,000. It was a little bit faded. It did have some condition issues, but it was an 18th century textile. And in the end, the buyers didn't care too much that it had some wear to it, and it paid $6,250. And I don't think that includes the buyer's premium. So I think you have to add up a little bit on for that. I don't think it does include I think that's the hammer price. on these. $3,000 to $5,000 estimate. They dated it as 18th and 19th century. I don't know why they thought it might be 19th century. I think it's pretty clearly 18th, but that's the way it goes. And then onto this late Ming Kisi panel. They had it in with a $700 to $900 estimate. And in the preview to the sale, I think I commented on this. I thought the estimate was awfully low, and these typically bring $5,000 to $8,000. And in the end, that's what it did. It brought $7,500 because this was probably from the Jiajing of the Wan Li period in that era, 17th mid 16th century. Mid to late 16th century, and just a wonderful example. Good colors. It's been trimmed down. It was trimmed down. It was a larger piece, and they rounded it off to fit on this. But the workmanship, the needlework, the colors were just elegant. These are such good colors. I wish they made paints in these colors, and just absolutely beautiful. And $7,500 was the hammer on it. And then one of my favorite rugs in the sale was this really nice Ming carpet fragment done in these panels. It's part of a much bigger rug that would have probably been 10 by 10 feet or something. This was just a small fragment, 3 by 4 feet, but beautiful colors, very meaty wool on it, but beautifully woven on hand-spun cotton foundation. There's the cotton across the top, and they show it, I think, also at the bottom. There it is. All right, and they took the estimate out. I think this was estimated at I don't know, $4,000 to $6,000. I don't know why they remove estimates, but they do sometimes. Maybe it's showing further down. Oh, there it is, $4,000 to $6,000. All right. Some auction houses take their estimates out once the results are in. I think Christie's does that. I don't know why. But at any rate, it's sold for basically 3 times its high estimate, going for $17,500. But really, really, really rare. And Ming carpets just don't turn up. I've had a few over the years. I had a very rare one once that actually ended up in a book. It was a Fu-line rug. But they are exceptionally rare, and because they wore out, they were used. They were in houses that were open. The environment was not, even in the palace, wasn't all that friendly to things like carpets and textiles. And when they got worn, they just tossed them. But this one they didn't toss. They saved it, and they provided some nice photographs of it. Here's the back of it. With that, as I said, you learn a lot by the back of these. Here you have that sort of meaty, floppy looking weaving with cotton wefts and warps on, and then with a wool pile, obviously, and all natural vegetable dyes naturally too. And then onto this, so you got into some other exotic rugs, and these Caucasian blossom carpets are among the holy, this category of rug, among the holy grails with rug collectors. These are some of the earliest rugs that were ever woven, and the style of them is very strong. And this is just a fragment of what would have been a much larger rug, but it's got all of the elements. It displays the borders. It's got this thing, they call this a running dog tooth border coming around it, and then these floral devices going up the side, and then these stylized enormous blossoms going through the rug, and with serrated leaf devices attached to them. Just a very, very rare type of rug. And with a little imagination, if you look at this and then imagine it as a room-size rug, just how amazing this rug would have been. And here's some more of it. There's some more of the weave. And they dated as circa 1800. I think it was older than that, in my opinion. I think it was probably closer to 1700 than 1800. But that's the date they put on it. 3 by 4 feet, estimated at $1,000 to $1,500, and ended up going for $10,625. Just blew the estimates away, and this is the trend through the whole sale. They had this rug here. This was the one of the big events of the day. Ming Dynasty carpet, probably one Lee period. It was missing its borders, but this was pretty big. It was 11 by 11 feet. It's missing its outer border. We talked about it in last week's video that there was a rug that sold in Paris in that specialty sale they had last fall, November or October. Had a rug from this period, a big one, a little bit bigger, had its borders, and it sold for $6 million or 6 million euros, excuse me. So this is one of the reasons why when this went up, I said, if it brings 3 times the estimate, I'm not going to be surprised because there have been other examples on the market. And I think, relatively speaking, somebody got a great buy. Even though it did sell for $324,000 plus the premium, so you're up to almost $400,000 by the time you're all in, or around $400,000. Relative to other examples on the market, and I thought this one was nicer than the one that sold in Paris because I thought the dragon was better, and I thought the way the clouds were placed was better. It had a few patches in it, but what an astonishingly rare rug. And I think whoever got that got maybe as much money as it was. I think it was sort of the buy of the day. All right, because you're going to wait a long time to get another one. And this was another rug that was quite extraordinary. This was a really great Northwest Persian or Southern Caucasus rug. They go back and forth on these, whether they're the Northwest Iran or the Southern Caucasus, down in that area. But this was a 5 by 8 foot carpet. They have it dated 18th century. I think it's probably older than that, judging by the pattern and the colors and the style of the rug. I think it's probably 80 or 100 years older than they estimated it. They may have just been being conservative on their estimates. But this rug had such beautiful colors. This beautiful yellow going down the side, the way the palmettes are done, the vine devices, and these giant blossoms with this really, really soft, almost seafoam green with flowers in them, and all these other little spindly floral devices and so forth, and just a wonderful looking carpet, absolutely fabulous. And it was, like I said, it was estimated at $3,000 to $4,000. Ended up selling for 10 times its estimate, coming in at $40,000. But a great rug, a great rarity. All right, and then we move along over to this. This was a Mughal example, silk rug, 18th century or older. Maybe 17, maybe from around 1620 to 1650. It sold for $26,250 against a $2,000 to $3,000 estimate. It was 3 by 3 feet. This was not a big piece. All right, it may have lost some of its size throughout history. I'm not sure if it's been no, it doesn't look like it's been resewn. Maybe it had, maybe it hadn't. But the colors of this on silk, these ruby reds with these palmettes reaching upward, very, very classic Mughal art, and did really well in the end. And what else is coming up here? What do we got here? There's a load. Oh, the pinwheel Kazak. I was shocked by the low estimate on this, $4,000 to $6,000. Pinwheel Kazaks, average ones, they sort of routinely bring. If they're in good shape and they're at 19th century, they bring 12 to 18,000, 12 to 20,000 pretty routinely. And coming out of this collection, and this is a nice one. This one probably predates the mid-19th century, so made between 1800 and 1850. Beautiful colors still, nice ruby red ground, outstanding borders, good use of yellows, and you have these pinwheel devices. And this is a class of rug that in the Caucasian rug community, they just chase these down like crazy. They love them, and because they're beautiful. And $4,000 to $6,000 estimate, sold for 5 times its high estimate plus the premium. So this rug ended up going for around 6, with the premium and everything in it. You're looking at 6 or 7 times its high estimate. But a splendid example, Just a splendid example. And then the next day, when that was the sort of the first day of sales, and then the next day of the sales, they had rugs that were in again, not in absolutely amazing condition, but unbelievably rare types, like this Lotto design carpet here, for $12,500. It's got holes in it and all kinds of problems and things, but for a textile collector, this is gold. And there were some good prayer rugs in the sale. There were some good Turkoman pieces in the sale. We'll take a look at a couple of them. I'm not going to go through them all because there were a couple of hundred rugs. This was a rug I thought was very, very nice. It was a Yomut Ensi, nicely done Central Asian, but had this very interesting double border arrangement with these tree devices, backgrounded in red and then in blue. Which made it interesting, and then you have these ornaments here. They're known as secondary gulls, are beautifully done, and there's this warm reddish, so almost chestnut colored ground here, but the outer edges are this much softer red, tipping towards a little bit towards orange. Just a wonderful carpet, and it was estimated very low at $500 to $700, sold for $2,125. And which one is this now? Okay, this was the Caucasian blossom or they call them sometimes dragon carpet fragments. The early 19th or late 18th century. I completely disagree on the date of this. This rug with this pattern and this style with these colors. You see the back of it here for a second. There you go. I don't know. This to me, the way this weave is done, this really fine little silky weave, to me, this looks much more likely to be a 17th century rug, early 17th century rug than a late 18th or early 19th century rug. And I got a feeling that a lot of the bidders felt the same way, because the condition of it, of course, was it was pretty shot out. $600 to $800 estimate. Well, that would have been a reasonable estimate if it was an 18th or 19th century fragment, I suppose. But it ended up selling for $25,000, which indicates that this was a much older rug than the folks at Skinner's estimated. I don't know. I don't know if Dixon had notes with all of these on what he thought of the dates, or did the consignor insist on using, maybe these are the dates, some of the dates that Dixon put with them. I don't know, but I don't think he would have. I'm not sure these are dates that Dixon picked. I think these are dates that Skinner's picked, because this rug pretty clearly is a lot older anyway. But it was a wonderful sale. I'm not going to knock Skinner's about it. They probably did the best they could. And it's just a great opportunity. These kinds of auctions only come along every 5 or 10 years. A collection in a specialized category like this will come up. And this is just one of them. All right. Now, let's head over and take a look. I mentioned we were going to cover the Rob Michaels preview. It's coming up in a couple of days. It's coming up on the 12th, 13th, and 14th. It's a 3-day auction. The third day of the auction is interesting. It's split. The first half of the sale is full of Kangxi porcelain. The second half of the sale is European Islamic art and that sort of thing. There's some wonderful pieces of Islamic art, and there's some nice miniatures, some good pottery. You want to check that out. But we're going to take a look right here and load this page up. Come on. All right, this is day one. And let's head on over to here. A pair of Chinese 19th century blue and white bowls with foo dog covers. These are just some of the things I like. I'm not going to pick necessarily the rarest things of the sale, just things that I happen to like aesthetically. I thought these were awfully nice. Now, they had these dated as 19th century, and I'm not really sure why, if he's just being conservative or what. They look 18th century to me. So if you're interested in them, you might want to contact them and find out why they think they're 19th century. There may be something you can see in person that I can't see here, but the bottoms and the decoration all looks 19th to me, 18th to me. But they're very, very nice. They have an estimate of $1,500 to $2,500 euros for the pair, which is very reasonable. And we'll see how they do. All right, and then on this one, let's see, here we go. Oh, these are the Japanese lacquered and gilt wood shishis. I just love these, so I'm showing them to you. I thought they were beautifully done, in nice condition, great facial expressions, and they are of nice size too. They are 90 centimeters long, which means that these things are 3 feet. These aren't little tabletop figures. These are big figures. They're like this big. I don't know if you can see it, but anyway, they're big, and it's 2 of them with a 4,000 to 6,000 euro estimate. But these are rare, and I'm really happy to see them. They're probably from the Edo period, mid Edo. But unusually large, 3 feet long for the pair of them, with a 4,000 to 6,000 euro estimate. If you're a Japanese buyer and you like sculpture, you want to look at these. All right, you really do. And then the next one up is this really great looking, I like animal forms, what can I say, is this really nice ash glazed recumbent feline, sitting back sort of looking surprised, like he's been startled, like somebody walked up on him unexpectedly. Great facial expression, terrific glaze, and in good condition. 17th or 18th century, and this is 24 centimeters long. So this is more in alignment and size with what you typically expect to see. It's around 9 or 10 inches in length, but a beautiful piece of pottery. Beautiful, beautiful piece of pottery. Nice looking thing. And then these are, the Dutch trader with the camels. This is a very unusual pair of Arita dishes. These are made in Japan, and this is a very interesting pattern because, as you know, they had camels, of course, all over China. So here you have a Dutchman, a Dutch trader, leading a camel, which is Chinese, but these were made in Japan. So I think it's kind of interesting because they didn't have camels in Japan. All right, and it's estimated at 8 to 1,200 euros for the pair, which is pretty reasonable. They measure about 7 inches in diameter, and a rare form. And there's a pair of them. That's pretty great. And then this is the other thing for the Japanese market that I like so much. It's a piece of kosametsuki. But it's very simply decorated. It's a minimalist. This is minimalism. Of the 3 boys in the middle playing in this beautiful big white open field around them, sort of expressing the boundlessness of maybe childhood or something. I don't know what the artist was intending, but just wonderful rendering, wonderful looking plate, very reasonable estimate, 400 to 800 euros, 300 euros starting bid. And this is probably, 6 inches in diameter. It's about right. Most kosametsuki plates are roughly that size anyway. So there you are. And then on to this. I've had a bunch of inquiries about these vases. For those of you that collect blue to hue, I've had 5 inquiries about these vases in the last week. And this is a very rare pair of Chinese, porcelain for the Vietnamese market from China, of King Kai Din, and they're dated, and this was apparently, according to what they have for information, the last pair of vases that were imperial ordered or court ordered from Vietnam. And they have apparently the literature on these and when they were made. They're inscribed, and I think the estimate is ridiculously low. 800 euros starting bid, 1,000 to 2,000 euro estimate. I don't know. I maybe the estimate is because they probably aren't sure what the heck they're going to bring, but these are wonderful vases, very unusual, very rare. And you just, if those of you collect blue to hue, that collect that area, will know that you just don't see these very often. Even though they're, technically from the Chinese Republic period, they measure about about 8.5, 9 inches tall each. They're absolutely great. And then on the next day, the second day, here we're going to load up. There's also a huge range of stuff. Some absolutely fabulous export wares. If you buy export, early export for the European market in particular, there's some stupendous pieces here. All right, from the 17th, 18th, and 19th century. One of them is this lime green teapot. And this isn't one of the most expensive things. It's estimated at 1,500 to 2,500 euros. But what a beautiful, simple, elegant teapot. The color is absolutely great, and you don't see it very often. If you're sitting there watching the video saying, you're right, you don't. You see them on imperial teapots. You see lime green was a popular teapot color for the emperor, and they're often sometimes marked in period. But lime green unmarked with this very simple, elegant, these elegant blossoms coming up with a little lingbai down here with just a few colors, in reds and in sort of almost like a, what do you call that, a gray or a translucent light aubergine, I'm not sure, but it's a wonderful color, but very simply decorated on a very simply colored but elegantly done pot. The whole package is just terrific. $1,500 to $2,500 estimate, euro estimate, should get there pretty easily, I suspect. All right, and then on to these. These are something, if you like really flashy Young Chen to Qianlong period porcelain, you want to look at these. These almost look like, they were made in Europe for the royal family. They're monogrammed PM, whoever that is. I don't know who it is. But these are just absolutely beautiful with these Greek key fret border running around it. Beautiful gilding, still largely intact all the way around. You got 6 cups and 6 saucers. Just absolutely fabulous. And the estimate is nothing. 1,000 to 2,000 euros with an €800 opening bid. That to me seems like a great thing. And these are the kind of things that if you don't buy these, you may wait 10 or 15 years to see another group of these, if you ever do. And they are beautiful. They would light up a room. All right, and then on to this, the Yongchen, the deer hunt platter charger. This is a big plate. It's 18 inches in diameter. Yongchen period. Beautifully colored, beautiful use of yellow, this very rich yellow, almost egg yolk, and the good use of reds, like the red horses and the purple horses, and all the colors are great, and the enamels look like they're in remarkable condition. I don't see a lot of wear. The back of it looks good. I also don't see any indications of repairs anywhere. It looks completely intact. This is something worth looking at. This is, I think, a pretty rare bird. It's got a good estimate, 10 to 20,000 euros with an 8,000 euro opening bid, but worth it. It's just a matter of whether or not the right eyes will fall on it and have a desire to own it. All right, but a beautiful looking piece of porcelain. And this they've very accurately pointed out, this may be one of the rarest hunting scene plates of its type that was ever done, the Calcutta tiger hunt. And these were done, for the China trade, for the Anglo-Indian market, and just a rare subject matter. Puce borders, which is a very desirable color, and this lovely gold vine work going around the outside, all the way around. And this scene of the hunters closing in on opening fire on the tiger, estimated at 6,000 to 12,000 euros, 4,800 euro opening bid. It's around 8.5, 9 inches in diameter, but very rare type of plate, extremely rare, done in the Qianlong period. So if you like rare plates, the ones on the second day, there's a number of them that are quite exceptional. And then on to these, a pair of yellow and white and blue Wanli plates. These were originally sold by Moog down in Atlanta, Georgia, who I've mentioned before, were top-notch dealers. But this shows this is really egg yolk yellow rims with this blue, and blue and yellow are, I've said it before, are such great complementary colors. Monet's dining room had a heavy influence of yellows and blues in it, because they work so well together. But these are very unusual with these yellow rims. Really, really, really unusual. And the decoration seems to be quite good on these, really sort of top-notch decoration. And there's a hare's mark on the back, and there's the old Moog in Atlanta labels on them. But very nicely done. You'll notice, too, also, that the foot rims are extremely tidy on these. These were made with a lot of care, much more than a lot of Wanley pieces that are floating around. And they're not enormously big. They're just a hair under 6 inches each, but rare color pattern and top quality workmanship. And that I think is makes it worth it. 2,000 to 4,000 euro estimate. And then there also is a pretty good section of monochromes in this sale. Monochromes have been really popular for the last year and a half to 2 years. There's this Qinlong Marken period copper red Meibing vase, always popular. These vases always are popular among collectors. This is a nice one. It's about 9 inches in height. It's got a good copper red, almost like a liver red color on it. Very, very evenly coated all the way down. You have this nice even white lip at the top, and if you scroll through it, you come around to the foot rim. There it is, in the base. And the foot rim, white, smooth, rounded, nicely done. The bottom has a slightly bluish tinge to the white glaze, little imperfections and so forth, which are normal. And then you have this the Qinlong mark. All right, now sometimes people ask, is it imperial if it has a Qinlong mark? Not necessarily, but it's mark and of the period. So that should be good enough to get it off the ground comfortably. And it'll probably do a little better than that. And we've seen a number of these of this style in the last year or two, and they always seem to bring in the $12,000, $15,000 to $20,000 range. So we'll see how this one does. We'll talk about the sale afterwards. Now, one of these is in these Catagon, these Celadon Catagon teapots. And I talked about one that sold on eBay just last week. And I mentioned how much I liked them. And I think they're just very elegant, very simple, and they're interesting. And it has a bluish toned glaze with underglaze red and underglaze blue decoration with these vines on top. Nice looking pot. This is a very, very pretty pot and very good color. Here it is in natural light. Yeah, it's that nice soft, and looks like the glaze is pretty bubbly. Lots of bubbles in the glaze. Yeah, there are. You can see them. It's just suffused with bubbles because they would apply a heavy layer of glaze to these when they were doing them. Overall, in pretty good place. That's not a crack or a break. That's a firing gap in the foot rim. The one last week brought $1,400, so this one's estimated at $500 to $1,000. It should go through that. It's got a 400 euro opening bid, 500 to 1,000 euro estimate, and I think it'll go certainly to the upper end of that estimate and probably through it pretty comfortably, I expect. And then the Ming Ewer. I thought this was just terrific. It's a blue leaning towards purple. Beautiful color. It's about 8 inches in height, and it's got its design antecedents going back to the early Ming Dynasty when they were bringing in metalworks from the Middle East, Islamic metalwork influence on this, and that's why you get this wonderful shape with this upward facing spout. And this very modern looking handle, though this is an old pot. But when you look at this, it looks almost like art moderne pottery. It's very chic, very sleek, nice cobalt blue ground, probably done during the Wanli period, maybe a little before, but beautifully made. Estimated at 12 to 1,800 euros, a 950 euro opening bid, and it measures just about 8 inches tall, which is right for that. A lot of these weren't necessarily that big. They can be bigger. They can be 14, 15, 16 inches, but a lot of them are in this 8, 9, 10 inch or less area. And that's a nice one. And the handles aren't broken. The handle isn't broken and the spout's not broken, which is always nice. And then this Who formed vase. This is an absolutely striking piece of pottery. porcelain. The glaze on it is just beautiful all the way down. The shape is a little bit atypical. It's done more in the manner of old bronzes, but beautifully glazed all the way around. It's not marked. It's not a marked piece. It is 18th century. Here's the bottom of it, sort of rustic, hand trimmed. You can see how they work the clay off of it. Nice thick glaze coming down, pooling up. And you have on this side, you have shades of reds. Here you have blues. Here you have reds and blues. Interesting glazing on this. Very, very interesting. Estimated at 2,000 to 4,000 euros. It's already got a bid at 1,600 euros. I expect it'll probably bring 5,000 to 8,000 euros when it goes. These Fanghu vases or Hu vases are extremely popular, and they've dated it to the Yongchen Qinlong period, which is fine. You can't really date them too precisely sometimes, but the overall visual appeal of the vase, I think, is just striking. And it's one of those things you're going to buy and be glad you own it. All right, now the Ming pot. I threw this in because I like these big old Ming jars, and this is a nice one. It's 39 centimeters in height, so it's roughly the heck does that work out to? About 18 inches or so, something like that, or 15 to 16 inches, I guess. It's got the spout on. I think I mentioned this one a couple of weeks ago, because I love the way it's decorated. And these don't bring lots of money, and I think they're grossly undervalued for what they are. It's a great big pot, nice big piece of porcelain, beautifully decorated. This one has a very three-dimensional view of mountains and so forth going back into it. It's a lovely thing. Estimated at just 2,500 to 5,000 euros, and it's a big pot, it's a big jar. And it had been retrofitted in Europe, obviously, with this spot. They were using it as a cistern, which was not an uncommon thing. And then this, if you love Wanli 100 Boys porcelain, 100 Boys pattern, 100 Boys boxes, entire boxes done like this sell for a lot of money, 100,000, 150,000 and up. All right, there was one from one collection that went through Christie's a number of years ago, and I think it brought 450,000. Okay, this is half the box, and it's not the half with the mark on it, unfortunately. But it's a Wanli cover, and if you're not going to be in the position to buy a $150,000 to $400,000 piece of porcelain anytime soon, this is a nifty thing to think about buying, because it is the lid to one. And it just doesn't have its bottom half, but there it is, the iron oxide line. It looks absolutely fine to me. Beautiful, beautiful decoration. It's not cracked, with a $2,000 to $4,000 estimate, and why not? But don't be surprised if it brings $10,000, $15,000. But it's an interesting thing to own, I think. And then also the lots. Rob puts together some very good lots with a lot of pieces in it, and you have things like this lot. There's 27 blue and white cups and saucers and things, Kangxi or later. Here you have it. All right, all kinds of great examples tucked away in there, and estimated pretty modestly at 1,000 to 2,000 euros. Nice looking lot. And there's a bunch of other lots in there, and they're all good. And then this is a pattern. I have never seen one of these before. Okay, this is a little bit like the Calcutta tiger hunt pattern. This is a first half of the 18th century, probably Yongchen period, but has a Dutch fisherman with a net. And he's got fish in his net, he's carrying a fish, and then he's surrounded by Chinese flowers. Very traditional, floral embellishment running around him, but very unusual scene. Very, very extremely unusual plate, and I've not seen it before, and I haven't seen this figure drawn on other porcelains either from the Yongchen period. I'm sure they're out there and they're recorded. I just haven't seen them yet, but I've seen a lot of things, so if I haven't seen it, it stands a good chance of being pretty rare, I think. And estimated at 2,000 to 4,000 euros, 1,600 euro opening bid. But what a rarity! You always take into account the rarity of something. It's important to do. And then this is the third day. There's just a few things left I'm going to go through to point them out. Is this one, the famous pattern with the musicians, European market. There's I'm trying to think of the name of the book. There's a book out there that actually has this plate on the cover on Chinese export wares. If you collect Chinese export wares, you know, because I have the book here too, and I can't think of the name off the top of my head. Kangxi period, the musician's dish, 34 centimeters. So it's a charger. It's about 14 inches in diameter. Nice big plate, very rare pattern, very desirable if you collect stuff from the China trade. And then there's this bowl with the silver or some sort of metal rim on it. It's got a line in it, but a beautiful piece of Kangxi porcelain, absolutely great. And when you get to the end, flip it over, there's a Kangxi mark. It is mark and period, and this style of script, almost like they used it looks in calligraphy, it's like if they use a chisel-tipped nib on a pen, you get these sort of broad strokes. I've seen it before, and here it is, real gutsy, real big Kangxi mark. And the bowl is Kangxi, obviously. Here's the interior of it, that beautiful deep cobalt blue, nicely done. It has a line in it, but there it is. So they show the line. There we go. And it doesn't bother me because this is such an attractive piece of porcelain with the blue and white and then the secondary red color. Absolutely gorgeous. $3,000 to $6,000 estimate. It measures 8 inches in diameter, so it's not a little bowl. It's a good-sized bowl, and 2,400 euro opening bid on that. And then on to this unusual little Kangxi teapot. Absolutely. How big is this thing? 6 inches in length. Okay, so it's not too small. It's pretty small, but a very unusual compressed form with this lovely underglazed blue and then overglazed enameling, but unusual form. 400 to 600 euro bid, estimate rather. I think that's very reasonable. If you can buy it for under 800 euros, you've got a really nice example. And again, all these things that I'm looking at are just things that I happen to like. Okay, they're not necessarily the best things or the rarest things. These are just things that I enjoy. I enjoy because to my eyes they're unusual, and they sort of stand out. And then there's this Mei Ping vase with underglazed blue and underglazed red, just profusely decorated with the underglazed red. And what the potter was able to do here, what the trees. The painting of the trees are excellent, very, very detailed all the way through. But the potter was able to do the reds in different shades, which is quite a trick. Some areas it's a very strong red, and then in the little blossoms, you see pink, sort of a more pinkish red, all right, that they were trying to achieve. And here's the other side of it. Very elegant, almost Japanese in its execution, the way that the Japanese would execute flowers. But you have these plum blossoms, or they're plum blossoms or cherry blossoms. I think they're plum blossoms, and these beautiful blue underglazed blue vines, and then overglazed the red flowers onto them. Just a real artistic treat. The base is flat and unglazed, like you see on transitional wares. But this vase was made later. But nice, very clean, pure white base. I think somebody cleaned it. It's estimated at 30,000 to 60,000 euros with a 24,000 euro opening bid. Now, it's a strong opening bid and it's a strong estimate, but it would be a very, very high estimate if this vase just was in one color and wasn't so elaborately decorated. But you're paying for the artwork here. What it took to achieve these two colors and in this quality, and I don't see any areas where the red failed and turned green or copper, from the copper. It all maintained a nice red color, and the blue came out extremely well and wonderfully painted. I can't get over how beautifully, it's like the tree was painted by one guy and then the flowers were painted by somebody else. And they were both very good artists, but they both painted very differently, and then they merged their work together. That's what it looks like to me. But a really great looking vase, so give it some thought. All right, and then on to this, the Kangxi period underglazed red and underglazed blue beaker vase, Celadon, nice looking pot all the way around here. Get around to there's the top, and there's the bottom. And as you saw, it's got a break to the top, because if you've been looking at this, you may wonder why the estimate is so low. This is why the estimate is so low. All right, because the estimate on this is just 1,000 to 2,000 euros. In perfect condition, these sell for it depends how elaborate they are. This is a pretty good one. So in this type would sell for $8,000 to $12,000 US, or 8,000 to 10,000 euros, roughly somewhere in there. And they can bring more if they have even more detail on them. So you have a very modest estimate, taking into account the damage to the top, of only about 10 or 15% of its value were it perfect. So there's an opportunity, because I think 2,000, to get that little break fixed is peanuts, is nothing, and you have this nice 2,000 for 2,000 euros. You get one heck of a rarity. So I think it's like that Wanli cover. Give it some thought, because its estimate relative to its value, if it's perfect, is something else. And then on to this, the Kangxi incense burner. These incense burners, they made lots of them. They're not exceptionally rare. This one, though, is very well painted, which is why I want to show it to you, because it's a landscape in the round, obviously, and these continuous mountains running all the way around. And you have these Buddhist symbols up here at the top, but beautifully decorated, and sort of a big, handsome example, a nice big example. And looks like it's in very good shape all the way around. And it's got a stand that somebody made for it, probably in the 19th century, with a conforming lid. I'm not sure the lid works on it. I think the stand and the lid would look better if they were darker, to be honest. I'd be inclined, if I bought it, to get those oiled and varnished more appropriately for the piece. Because it looks a bit dry to me, but you get the stand and the lid. You can do that. It's not difficult to do, and it would look nice. And probably was done that way originally. This thing may have been it looks like it's been sunburned. When you see wood that has gone to these colors, you generally see that from a piece that's been sitting in a sunny window for a long time, or was at one point, because sun will suck the life out of wood in a matter of months. A bright sunny window in the summer day is a big gobbler of woodwork, eats it up. And you see underneath here where it didn't get the light, that's the old color. There it is. There's the old color. That's the color that wasn't. Yeah, this got exposed to a lot of light. There's the top. There's the bottom, what it should look like this and this. And you could get that color back. It would be absolutely fabulous. And estimated at 4,000 to 8,000 euros, which is about right for these. 3,200 euro opening bid. Nice looking thing. All right, so give the sale a look. And a couple of people commented in the comment section. They were talking about it's expensive buying on live auctioneers by the time you get done with commissions and shipping and all that other stuff. Well, you're the buyer. Think about that before you place your bid. Find out what the shipping costs are roughly. Find out what the buyer's premium is going to be, and then figure out how much you want to spend total, and work backwards. And that's how you develop your bid. And then you don't feel like you got, if you leave your top price on the bid, and then the buyer's premium, the shipping. Now suddenly you're getting unhappy because the prices have gone way up. It's more than you intended, which is human. So do the math in your head beforehand. So if for example, on a pot like this, the most you're willing to spend all in is X, that's what you should bid. So if you were willing to spend $7,000 all in on this, well, you got to assume the shipping is going to be from the Netherlands to the United States. It's going to be $200, $300 maybe to ship it. You got a buyer's premium to calculate in there, and then just take those numbers and back it down, and that'll tell you what your bid should be, because you're going to have these other expenses. Just food for thought. That's all. Alrighty, and that was it for today. It's an interesting couple of sales. You got nice rugs and carpets. You got a good upcoming sale with Rob Michaels, And all of these are, all the Michael stuff and the Skinner stuff are on the global pages. A lot of you I know were looking at them because I heard from you. And some interesting stuff, as many of you know, has appeared now. And we're working out, for those of you that use the global pages, we're working out something to be able to get the Invaluable back on there, because Invaluable, for some weird reason, blocks people who link to their site. They don't want their items shown on other sites for some reason. I don't know why. I've called them repeatedly, and they're right in Boston. And I've called them up and said, is there somebody there I can talk to in the technology department, so we can share your stuff with our users? And they don't even return phone calls. They literally don't return phone calls. And I don't know what Invaluable's doing. If any of you know anyone at Invaluable, ask them to get in touch with me, because we would love to share more and more of their stuff, because they have some auctions that aren't on Live Auctioneers, for example. Not a lot, but there's a few, and we'd like to include more of them. But in the meantime, we've developed a workaround for it. So it'll be appearing toward the end of this week for those of you on the global pages, and we'll be doing a global page video tomorrow on some things that have popped up that I think you'd be interested in. All right, so that's it. Have a wonderful rest of your day and week. We'll be back Friday with the regular video, and subscribe here and like and leave comments and all that happy stuff. And thanks for watching. Okay, bye-bye.